Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the Fortinet Championship. This is my picks and bets show. I go through all the analysis on the players, comp courses, everything that I'm looking for in my top 15 picks from a DFS perspective. And then also at the end, I'm going to give you my favorite bets. And first off and foremost, thank you for stopping by if you're new and checking me out. Give me a few minutes. I think I can get you an edge on your DFS plays along with some bets. Okay, with that said, let's get into this. First and foremost, again, I am introducing everybody to PrizePicks. If you've not checked it out, I highly recommend it. If you use my promo code Golf Guru, you're going to get a 100% match up to $100. So you put 50 in, you're going to get 50. You put 100, you're going to get 100. And what I'm doing, because if I get a spiff back from PrizePicks, I'm putting that all into a pool, and that's why you see that Masters tournament logo. And I'm going to give away a bunch of giveaways for the Masters tournaments. Might be swag. It's going to be money. I got a lot planned for that in the upcoming. And as you know, if you've been with me for a bit, so far I've been doing very well on PrizePicks from a golf perspective. And then for Monday Night Football, I gave you guys my 4 picks, and we hit it. It was a 10 times winner. If you did the 4 pick, which that's what I like to do, of course, this is a over-under projections. Simply, you can mix golf and football, but you're just looking at from a single stats or from how many passing yards or catching yards. You're looking at their projections, and you're betting the over-under on it. And so what I went with last night, I had Sammy Watkins catching over 4 balls. It took a little bit. I think I actually took into overtime to make that happen. Sammy had a few targets, but he dropped, but also had some big plays. Yeah, Darren Waller just smashed the over of 5.5 receptions, and again had plenty more targets. I think the guy had like 18 targets or something crazy like that. And then I hit the Mark Andrews, which was the one that I was most nervous about. I hit him on the under. They didn't target Mark Andrews. I don't know if they took him away from a Raider standpoint. Of course, I was a little nervous when it went to overtime. He did get a catch in the overtime, but of course not enough to get over. And then Braylon Edwards, the guy played about 95% of the snaps, and they just did not target him very much at all during the regular. They finally, last quarter, at the very end of the game, hit him for a few plays, and then also hit him in overtime, which hence we hit the over 2.5 receptions. He had 4. So if you logged in and you put in the promo code Golf Guru and you put some money in and you played those picks, you were a 10x winner if you did the power play. And so just so you know, the more picks you put in up to 5, the more the multiplier will increase. And then if you lock it in that you must hit all 4 picks, that's when you get the 10x. Okay, enough about PrizePicks again. Check it out. And anybody that signs in with the Golf Guru, I'm going to take that spiff and again put it into a Masters tournament, big giveaway for swag and money. Okay. If you caught my preview show, or if you did not, I always go over the stroke gain analysis, how I build the model, what I'm looking for these guys to win the Fortinet Championship. Of course, used to be the safe way. And some of the key things that we've seen in the past is that driving distance, also with hitting fairways is key. Approach, putting, ball striking really comes into effect for those par 5s that they need to make eagles and birdies on. Around the green shows up. Of course, this tournament typically is about a 20 under tournament. So it is a bit of a scoring fest, so they're going to need to make the birdies and eagles. The procs to the pins that are show up the most, around 20% each, is 100 to 125, 125 to 150. I already mentioned the par 5s. You got 6 par 4s between 400 and 450. That's in the model. And then you got a few par 3s that are a little longer, 175 to 200. And last but not least, you got to be able to scramble. And then the next thing that I do is I always kind of look at comparable courses. I think this is really good just so you get a picture of not just the history at Silverado Spa and Resort, but also there's other courses that they do very, very well. And so the first one that I'm going to be looking at, and it's comp tournaments, comp courses, the Rocket Mortgage. And why I'm looking at the Rocket Mortgage is a lot of these on the left are a bent POA green surface. They're also very comparable from a par side, from a length side. The Barracuda will not get pulled into this model, but I do want to look at some of the standings on how the guys did. That is located in California. Then you got the courses over here, a couple California courses. You got the Amex, which of course is the Stadium of La Quinta and the Nicklaus tournament. A lot of these are par 72s, less than 7,200. Now that is Bermuda grass, but I think it also is very similar. And then you got, of course, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which is a par 72, less than 7,200 yards. And that kind of is a combination of Pebble Beach, Spyglass, Monterey, which is a par 71, and those are POA greens. So those are kind of the courses. Oh, and then Waste Management I'm going to throw in to look at. Of course, that's at TP Scottsdale. But again, it is a bent POA green surface. A lot of the rough is very similar on some of these courses, too, where they got the bluegrass. But that's a par 71, 7,200 yards. So long story short, I go through, kind of find the courses that I think even will play similar. So like the Rocket Mortgage is an old traditional course, tree-lined. Barracuda, it's got some similarities, of course, into California. The Travelers is Connecticut, but again, I see a lot of similarities there. So all that said, those are the things I'm going with. And then if you look here, when you pull up some of these courses at like a par 72, 7,200 yards, and put these guys a field against, these were the top listed guys against that model that I just talked about. Okay. With that said, we're going to jump over to Fantasy National. We're going to go through the analysis of the players that I'm picking, and then I'll summarize the guys and my favorite bets. Okay, so jumping over into Fantasy National, again, I highly recommend this tool if you are big into doing your own analysis for golf. I've been doing this a long time. It is the best tool that I've found out there. Tons of information, really kind of saves you from going and looking in millions of different places for your information. Again, this is going to be focused on DraftKings pricing. I always like to state that. And what we are looking at, as I mentioned, built a larger model, but this is kind of the best way to show you guys, the guys that I'm looking at as kind of under this sneak peek. And it does a few things. You can kind of combine a smaller model, also kind of a key stat area that you want to look at. Of course, we want to look at birdies. Again, this, as I mentioned, is going to be a bit of a scoring fest. It is a short par 72, 4 par 5s. And then over here to the far right, we can look at recent results. So the last 5 tournaments they played. And then, of course, tournament history at Silverado. So with all that said, just so you know, I have no filters turned on over here, which you could. You could put, hey, I want to look at par 72. I want to look at less than 7,200s. I want to look at POA. The problem with that, though, is once you do that, it is going to pull in older data. And I always like to look at recent data. So it's really a mix of what I do. I like to look at recent form. I look at course history. I like to look how they do on different putting splits. Then we do the comp course kind of look through. So all that said, that's kind of how I come to my list of players. And with that said, right off the bat, I'm not going to go through all these guys, but I do want you guys to be able to see the information so you can make your own decision on how they kind of worked out. Again, over here, this is looking at the last 12 rounds. The mini model that I did here is off the tee, which really takes driving distance and hitting fairways, combines it into one. That saves me an extra spot for something else that I want to look at. I take approach, ball striking, putting, and then I want to look at the par 5s, how they're gaining strokes in that area. And, of course, if you see this full green, that means they're doing very well in those areas. If you don't, now, some of these guys that are in this player field have not played on a PGA event in a while. So some of the data, you got to kind of skip through and kind of understand what they've been doing on the Korn Ferry. It is a different kind of field than we're used to. And also, I'm going to let you know, I'm going a little out of my comfort zone on some of my picks, but there's reasons for it. I'll get into the picks that I'm making. Again, it's, you got to make your decision from there. But just to let you know, it's not going to be the typical guys. I'm not going to pick the top 10 guys. And also, I'm picking guys from different value ranges. Again, from a DraftKings perspective, it doesn't do me any good to pick a bunch of guys that are expensive for you, and you really can't build a team with them. But also, I'm picking the guys because I like them no matter where their pricing's at. Okay. With that said, the first guy that you're going to fall on, of course, is Jon Rahm. And there is no reason why you would not play Jon Rahm, except he's at a salary that is going to be really hard to build, I think, a solid team. You could do stars and scrubs. That could be very popular. I literally think because of this tournament, it's going to be some guys up at the leaderboard that you're not used to seeing. It's not going to be the top 10 guys, my perception of everything that I've seen in this tournament in the past, that you think you're going to see there. I guess it's I think there's going to be some shockers. So long story short, there's no reason why you would not want to play Jon Rahm except for one. And what I'm going with in my narrative is that I think that either he's got to be getting paid a big appearance fee for being here. He has played here once before, back in 2017. I also know, of course, that he got, I don't know if he actually got married, but I know he proposed to his wife over at Torrey Pines, which, so he does like the California area. So it could be kind of a vacation thing for him. I was just shocked that he is in the field. And why that is, of course, the Ryder Cup is coming. He's their best player on the Ryder Cup. And Whistling Straits, way over in Wisconsin, I don't know how he's going to kind of manage the practice sessions and whatever he needs to do to get ready for that. So I just don't know where his mind's going to be. I guess I could have said that and really cut to the crap. But so with that said, I don't typically like to play the most expensive guy from a DraftKings perspective. But, Rahm has proven out time and time again that it is worth playing him. So will I put him on a few teams? I don't even know how many teams I'm going to put in for this from a DFS, but he will not be my main first guy going in. That's all I'm stating. He's not my top 5 FAV pick. Again, Hideki's shown some kind of life back and forth. You can see during the FedEx. Actually, one of my subscribers kind of called me out a bit. I think it was for the Tour Championship, and he was right. I kind of like some things I was seeing out of Hideki, but really his form has been a bit off. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass on Hideki. I think what it was there were some similarities, I believe, between WC. I think it was the grass type from the fairways that is very Zoysia. That's what it was. Sorry, I was blanking out for a moment there. That interested me on how well he did there and how that sets the ball up for Hideki. Neither here or there. I'm passing on Hideki. Some of the key things, again, just so you understand, what I'm looking for is guys that putt very well on POA. They got to do other things, but I am looking for guys that do well on the West Coast swing and guys that putt on POA. So that's just my lean. I'll let you know that right off the bat. So the first guy that I'm in is Webb Simpson, and I've been off Webb for the past year. Of course, he was dealing with some back issues, but we've seen Webb's game trending on the upward trend. He's played this track before. It's been since 2018. We're at a T17, but we also had a couple miscuts. You can see the birdies are up. And like I said, I just like where Webb's game. You can see out of this field over the last 12 rounds, he's number 1 in approach, number 5 in ball striking. His off the tee, which is kind of rare, even though he doesn't typically gain a lot of distance off the tee, he's usually very accurate. If we click on Webb and just kind of go look at some information like his putting split, so you can see over the life of his career, he's a good putter, always has been. Hasn't maybe been where he was lately. His best surface is Bermuda. POA's is next. Again, this is a POA bent mix, but I'm kind of leaning towards POA because POA, if you putt well on it, you know what to expect, and you don't get frustrated that you're going to get, it's not the smoothest rolling green. It's going to bounce your ball around, especially if you play in the afternoon. So that is one of the reasons why I'm leaning that way. But you can kind of see, the approach has been great. The putting has been kind of back and forth. Gained 3 at the WGC St. Jude. Gained 3 strokes at the BMW, but also lost a little bit at the Northern Trust and the Wyndham. The Wyndham's shocking, right? That's his home course. He did everything very well except the putter. If we plug in just some of the comparable courses that I'm looking at, we look at the AT&T Pro-Am. Hasn't played that in a while. His best finish was an 8th way back in 2011, but he had a miscut the last time he played it in 2017. Here we go check out the Amex. That would be 2018. Again, it's been a while. His best was a 7th back in 2015. I don't think he's played he has played. I didn't even remember. So funny enough, and this was when he was kind of still, I think, dealing with some of the back issues. Played the Rocket Mortgage both times. He had an 8th before and a miscut recently, but I'm not too worried about that because, again, I think he was getting over some things. I'm also going to plug in the Zozo. That was played at Sherwood Country Club, and it was a little while ago at this point. Sherwood Country Club's in California. It is it's a par 72 around 7,100 yards. It's also bent greens. But I just thought but I didn't really add it onto the list because a lot of these guys, it's a short 80-person field. I just wanted to see how he did there. He had a 17th, but again, that's a while ago too. What else did I want to put in? So he's nothing there. Let's check out the Travelers. Again, it's been a while, but he's had some good showings at the Travelers. And what about the Waste Management? That's interesting. He's never played the Waste Management. Okay. But that's the guy that I'm going to lead my teams off with. I've been off him for a while. I can understand why. But you can see ownership right now. This is pretty early, but projected ownership is right there. Is a little higher. Rom's at 21%. Like I said, I just think it's going to be difficult to build a solid team. The first guy I almost was actually looking at was Will Z. And Will Z's kind of had an up and down rookie season. Of course, if you've heard, he did win Rookie of the Year. And of course, Patrick Cantlay won the Jack Nicklaus Trophy for Player of the Year for PGA. Just a total side note, if you care about that. But I like Will Z here. We can kind of click on Will Z and go through the reasons why. So funny enough, the one place that typically Will Z struggle is putting, but over his short career that we have data on him for about a year, he does gain on POA, and I thought that was very interesting. If we just click on where he's done well, so you're going to see some of his Corn Ferry stuff. So I'm going to click, but of course he's done well at the Masters. That's bent. Seeing Shriners was another tournament. Shriners was interesting with that. It's in Las Vegas. It is a score fest, so just to kind of see, of course, Kevin Na will pop into your brain. For me, it always does when I think of Shriners. Also, he lives in Las Vegas. The Farmers, also, you could look at the Torrey Pines North course, but I didn't go with that because, you spend a day on each, and then, the weekend spent on the South course. So I didn't really look at plugging that in. Just was kind of scrolling through just to see where some of those better finishes are. He has played the AT&T. Not so hot there. Let me see. I don't know if he's played the Rocket. So he has played the Rocket, and he did not do very well at all. That's kind of shocking. A 77th there. The AT&T, not so great. Let's see. From the Amex, does not come up. Did he play? No, I didn't think he played in the Zozo. That was a little pre-him. Travelers, no. And then the Waste Management, no. So not a whole lot to go, but I really like what I think Will Z will bring. And again, we don't have a lot of top talent up here. You're kind of, it goes pretty Kevin Na at 10,000. And you got Rom. And then it's just a lot of guys that you got to kind of sift through. So from the top guys, those are kind of the two guys that I'm going to lean on from my DraftKings perspective to build out the lineups. Kevin Na, I was kind of on and off. He's been playing amazing golf. You can see he's had a really good history here. He's had a second, a seventh, and then he did have a miscut recently. But his game's been in really good form. But where I'm kind of falling is I'm looking for guys maybe with a little more bang to the buck. If I had to pick between Will Z, it really just comes on the putter. And Na was not putting that well until probably, you could see this stint. If we go click on Kevin Na. Let me pull him up for you guys real quick. So you can see POA is his worst putting surface. Of course, he's positive on all. But, if you had to go, but it is a bent POA mix, so you can make that argument too. So let's go look at Na. So you can see he kind of struggled, off and on with the putter. I think it was a little further back where he just wasn't putting up to where his standards. And then you can see his last 3 rounds, he's been gaining around 3 strokes. So that can kind of come and go. But you could see kind of midsummer, he wasn't really getting the results. He had the win at the Sony, and then it kind of fell off. He had 11th at concessions in Florida. But recently the game has been, he's shot a ton of rounds in the 60s. So from a showdown perspective, I probably will sprinkle and play some Na. But from an overall DFS perspective, I'm not going. Trigali, I like him. You can just see his form. It's been kind of trending in the wrong way. So that's why I'm off on him. Leishman, it's just been so off and on. And again, for that price tag, like I said, honestly, I'm kind of skipping through these guys at 9. Harold Varner's been in pretty decent form. You got Cameron Champ, past winner. Griot's technically, this was his first win, but it was not. I think it was the Fries.com. Also, I don't believe it was actually played as Silverado. Let me just plug that in. I'm just kind of curious. It has been a while. All right, so you can see the Fortinet, which, like I said, at that time it was the Fries. And it was played at Silverado. Okay, well, there you go. Something to think about. I like Griot. Of course, his putter is what it all comes down to. You can see Poa is actually, funny enough, is his worst putting surface. Um, just he hasn't shown me enough from kind of recent results. As you can see, he's been really sporadic. I think what he popped up at the Open. Let me see here. The last, yeah. So he had that 12th. It was like, so you look at it, just 5 missed cuts with a 12th at the Open, an 8th, and that's typical for guys that strike the ball. Elite. I consider him an elite ball striker, tee to green, but the putter is so bad. But if the putter is just gains a little bit or neutral, watch out. He can be but you can see the last 6 rounds he's been losing with the putter. But I might sprinkle him in again from a DFS, but he's not my top 15 picks. Charlie Hoffman, right? He was hot. Had a great, Texas swing. And then, it's been kind of on and off. You can see the birdies here, have been not too bad over the last. I couldn't shoot you for playing Charlie Hoffman. It's just not the guy that I'm leaning to. Funny enough, and you can see Max Homa from my model rank does not fit up there. But what do I know about Max? He loves to play in California. He's a California kid. You can see putting on Poa is his best putting surface. If we just click on his best results, you can see the Genesis, of course, played at Riviera. That's California course. You can see he did well at the AT&T Pro-Am. He's done well at the Farmers. He's done well at the Safeway. This is all the way back. Again, might have been the Fries.com, actually. Again, well at the AT&T Pro-Am, the Farmers. His best finishes are on the West Coast, short of it. And so the gain, he has not shown the best of form recently. I mean, he also had a good showing at the Rocket Mortgage. I mean, a decent showing at the Rocket Mortgage. But I can just simply say, but you can see the birdies have been down. And a lot of that, if we go click on them, I would just say the putter has been probably the nemesis. Yeah, so you can see the last 10 rounds is, putter. So tee to green, he's been well. It's just the putter has been off a bit. The last time he's had a good putting experience was at the Memorial, which is a bent grass. Again, it is a mix. But, I'm going to go ahead and I even like him from a betting perspective. We're not getting that great odds. We were actually getting, but because of the field, he is, a multi-winner on the field on very tough tracks. So I think it's 50-1, but I put a bet on him. Almost on that same line, Maverick Neely from California has done very well on the California tracks and has been in pretty good form. Again, you can see he gains over a half a stroke when he's putting on Poa. If we kind of look at Mav, he had a good showing at the 3M, the John Deere, the Rocket, the Traveler. So, all shows me when I see this, a guy could be getting very close to a win. He had a good showing at the RBC. And if we look at some of his best finishes, again, at the AT&T Pro-Am, the California course, he had a good showing at the Rocket Mortgage, good showing at the Farmers. Let's see where else he's had some good success. Again, the Rocket shows up. So, yeah, Mad McNeely is going to be one of my guys that's making my top 15. And then you got Ches Reavie, who's played this course quite a bit. You can see he's had good results when he's played here. Not gaining what I like on the par 5s, but, came up well from everything else that I was looking at. And we can kind of do the same thing for Ches. Also, you can see the putter is what holds him back. But Poa, it's just barely negative surface. Let's go see where he's had some of his best finishes. So we just click on that. The Travelers, which is one of the tracks that is comparable, the AT&T Pro-Am at the Fortinet, which, of course, is the Safeway. Let me see what else he's done well. Just kind of scrolling through. Again, the Traveler shows up. That's a long time ago. So again, yeah, I just like, and again, if you remember through my preview show, of course, Ches Reavie is not a bomber, but he is a guy that, what we saw at the top 5 guys that finish here every year, there's always a couple plotters that do well at this course. So he's going to be one of my plotters that's going to, hopefully just make some putts. Kind of skipping through these guys, Stefan Jaeger, I was interested in him. Just so you know, he's had really good success What you're going to see here is what he's been doing on the Corn Ferry Tour. Of course, he has had his stint on the PGA Tour in the past. That's why some of this information. This is not pulling the Corn Ferry. This is going to be pulling up his tournaments. We can go click on it so you can see, some of the. Well, I guess as you can see, this blackout is the stroke gain information for the Corn Ferry. And so if we scroll down, it's just going to pick up some of his older PGA events, which of course he lost his card and had to go back and get it. But he has been playing really well. So that's, if you see a Stefan Jaeger and you're like, why is this guy priced 8,200? It is because of what he has done on the Corn Ferry. Phil likes to play at this course. You can see he's got a pretty decent course history. But Phil's just game's not been really since the PGA, not that great. Skipping on the Gooch, the guy that I'm laying on, you can see in one of the higher ranked top 3 in my model on all fronts. And I also got to give a side note, Mito Piero, of course, was on my cover screen for the show. Also yesterday, for whatever reason, I think my brain was in a fog, kind of coming out of the football kind of thought process from the weekend, and I was mixing Mito Piero with Garrick Higo. I literally said Mito Piero won the Palmetto. That is not correct. Mito actually won 3 tournaments in a row. We can go click on him on the Corn Ferry, which then gave him instant PGA status. So if we click on this, you'll see these 3 tournaments right here. And this worked out as a 1 calendar year. So once you do that, you get instant status to the PGA. Also, Mito, of course, great friends with Joaquin Niemann, actually lives him as we speak. If you actually watch his swing, it looks like they both grew up. And they did grow up playing together, but it's almost like trained by the same guy. I look at them very similar. He's had some really good showings, the 3M, the Barbasol, the John Deere. He missed a cut at the Rocket. That was actually his first tournament when he came off of the Corn Ferry, kind of 3 wins in a row. But since then, he's been playing really good golf. Also showed up, of course, at the Olympics. You're not going to see that. Now I'm going off total memory. I think, again, off memory, I think he did make it to that bronze medal playoff. You can see that POA, again, but this is such a small statistical information, is not his best. But again, I'm not worried about that at all. The guy has just been making birdies. He's been elite, in all the areas that I'm looking at. So I'm going to be playing some Mito. Doug Gim, I usually stick away from Doug Gim, but he has been showing really good form. And you can see the birdies have been up there recently. And the biggest problem with Doug Gim is the putter, but you can see he actually, over the life of his career, does gain on POA. So that got me a little interested. You can see the putter's been kind of coming along. So over his last 6 rounds, 4 of them, he has gained strokes with the putter. He is a great ball striker. And so when I start to see those guys start to do something with the putter, I get a little excited. So I am going to be plugging in some Dougie Gim. And like I said, if you followed me, usually I stick away from him. You can also see, he's played this track before and had a T14. That kind of, skewed me a little bit over to Dougie Gim. I also like Patty Perez. He had a T9 here. He did it a lot with the putter, but that's good because same thing. Pat Perez is a pretty decent tee to green guy. It's the putter that will hold him back. You can see over his last 12 rounds, everything's firing where we want it. Doing okay from a birdies gain standpoint. He ranked 6th on my model. Let's go look at Patty Perez real quick. You can see it's done really well on the POA putting surface. And you can see that the putter over the last 5 rounds, he's been gaining strokes. It's been pretty hot. You can see the Rocket Mortgage, which is a very similar putting surface, that bent POA mix. He gained almost 9 strokes. So with all that said, that kind of, got me a little excited to play. We just go look through, and I probably need to do this for Doug Gim. I think I missed this. Had a good showing at the Farmers, Shriners, where you got to score. The Farmers, again, good showing at the AT&T Pro-Am. Now, of course, some of these are older events, but I'm just looking at a high level. We can kind of scroll through. Again, AT&T Pro-Am shows up. The Safeway had a 9th. That was most recently. Of course, he had some not so great showings. Okay. Let me go back to Doug Gim because I did not give you guys kind of where his best showings have been. And I'm doing it this way. I think it's quicker than just typing in and going through. So We look at, the Amex actually was one of his best showings ever in his career. So, I did not even know that. He had a 5th there. He had a 14th, as already mentioned, which was one of his best showings. So I like that. Farmers, California course. Again, AT&T Pro-Am shows up. The Rocket Mortgage had a 32nd. The Farmers again. The Travelers, a 50th. So, again, some good showings on the California side, so I like that. Gonna skip through these guys. Sloan, you can just see some of his information if you're curious. Hadwin, Lucas, you see, recently had a kind of a birdie. Of course, he's done okay, I guess. He had to go down and play a little Corn Ferry tournaments. Taylor Moore, I don't know anything about this guy, but if you look at his recent results on the Corn Ferry and his birdies gained, the guy's done pretty well. That's all I can say. I need to do some research on Taylor Moore. I just don't know enough about him, but let me go click. I'm just curious what we have for him within Fantasy National. Yeah, so you can see it's just a lot of total stroke gain, but if you look over what this guy's done, that's a pretty impeccable Corn Ferry resume. His only PGA events are down here in 2017, Shriners, Sanderson Farms, and then the Canadian Open. That's so long ago. But, man, the guy's been in great form coming off the Corn Ferry. So just a side note, like I said, I don't know enough about him, but, couldn't be a bad play. Brian Stewart, of course, has been playing really good golf. He comes from Michigan, and you can see he's had a good tournament history here. I put him like with his Ches Reavie back to the plotters, but the putter's been doing really well. We'll go look at that. You can see he's been making birdies. You're not going to see a big off the tee because he doesn't hit the ball very far, but typically does hit the fairway like a Ches Reavie. You can see POA is his best putting surface over his career. That got me excited. I mean, the guy's already been putting really well. So, gained 9 strokes at the Wyndham. He gained 7 at the John Deere. And someone, typically you'd say that's unsustainable. You can't keep that going. But you can see he has kept it going, gaining strokes with the putter. He lost a stroke and a half at the Northern Trust, but everything else has been really well. And that's, it's a bit of confidence. We go look at Brian, where he's done well in his career. One of his best finishes is actually on this course. Again, that would have been the Safeway. Would that have been 2 years ago? Because 2021 would have been Stewart Sink. Just seeing what else he's done well. At the Rocket Mortgage, he had a 5th in 2019. The Amex, he had a 5th. Where else? The Amex again, but that's a while ago. The AT&T Pro-Am this year, he had a 16th. So again, some comparable courses that I'm looking at, he's done well at. Yeah, I like Brian Stewart. Harry Higgs, who had a great showing here last year. Thought about him. He's been playing pretty decent golf. Wouldn't kill you again. I might sprinkle some Higgs in, but I also know with Harry, if we look at POA is actually one of his worst putting surface, and that's, can be where he has some issues, as you see here. You can see his best finish actually was at Bermuda and at the Safeway. He had a good showing at the Farmers, AT&T Pro-Am, not too bad. Again, the Safeway, he had a 23rd. So, he has some decent comp course stuff that you could look at. I'm actually going to go to Seb Straka. You kind of very similar players. Seb's got the distance. Of course, he had a really good showing also at the Olympics. You can see his recent results, not the greatest. He had a T15 at Wyndham. But, out of here, he's had a T14 and a T46 and one miscut there. Let's go take a look at Seb Straka. What was interesting to me was that when he does putt on pole, you can see he almost gains a half stroke on the field. It's his best putting surface by kind of far. And you can see typically that's, on and off where he has his, kind of struggles. The Wyndham, he gained 3 strokes at a 15th. At the Traveler, he's gained 2.5 strokes. He had a 10th. You see where he's had his best kind of outings. So the Amex California course that I'm looking at, he had a 4th. Does well at the Houston Open. The Rocket Mortgage had an 8th back 2020. The Travelers, good comparable course. The Rocket Mortgage 11th. Again, I mentioned the 14th already at the Safeway. The workday, I would not consider that. That was played, what, at Murfield. I think that was right before the Memorial. The Wyndham, just seeing if I see anything else. The Farmers, the 32nd. So again, you could really, I think they're kind of similar. Harry Higgs and Sub Straka. I like Sub a little better. Also play him in Showdown. Now back to a plotter, Ryan Moore, right? So he's coming up 14th. You can see over the last 12 rounds, kind of doing everything that I like. He also had some back issues earlier in the season. You can see he's had a T2, a T17, a T10, so he's had well here. He missed a cut in 2020. Best showing so far recently has been the John Deere. He had that T2, he popped up. Let's go take a look at Ryan Moore. So you can also see he gains a quarter stroke on the field when he putts on pole. It's his best putting surface. And we go look at Ryan Moore's kind of where his best finishes have been. So he has won the John Deere. That's a little while ago. He's second at the Fortinet. Of course, the Safeway. AT&T, that's a long time ago. His is called the AT&T National. Let's see where else he's done. The Genesis, California, but again, that's so long ago. Okay, let's go this route because I'm pulling up stuff so let's just see his best finishes recently. So the John Deere, the 3M back in 2020. Okay, he had a 6 at the Amex. The Zozo, which I was, if they did play, but at a 72nd out of 80 guys, so that's no good. Yeah, I mean, not a ton from a comparable course side. What's that, third at Valero? But I kind of like him from a plotter standpoint. That's a guy I go with. I already mentioned Dylan Fratelli from a betting perspective. I'm interested, but from a DFS perspective, I'm probably going to hold tight on that. Of course, Patty Kazire, my Brokeback Mountain pick, looked at long hard at Patty. But I end up I'd rather go with Brendan Steele. Of course, he has back-to-back wins here. So this is a course fit for sure. And anytime that, if I go and say, well, Brendan Steele hasn't been playing the best golf, and then they get on a course that they just love and they do well. So this is a course history play. I'll let you know that right now. You can see, nothing really great from a statistical standpoint, but we can go look at some other information from Brendan Steele. So you see typically it's the putter that will hold him back, but Poa, I guess, would be one of his least worst bent. He struggles the most. Let's look at what has been going on here. So off the tee, he's been struggling around the green. Approach, not bad. Putting's not been terrible. Trying to see, his last was at the Honda. That's Bermuda. Kind of popped up here. He had a kind of nice little run in the early season. But one of his better finishes has been at the Amex. So let's go do that. Let's click on. So, of course, I already mentioned his 2 wins at the Safeway. The Amex, so he likes the California. The Honda is Florida. That does not count. Travelers, that's Connecticut. There, the Amex again shows up. Just kind of scrolling through just to see where he does his damage. Again, this is a course history play. So, let you know on that. Thigala, I just don't know enough about him. Again, a Court Ferry guy. Did have a T14 here previously, so it'll be kind of interesting what his ownership. Again, you got another Corn Ferry guy. This Taylor Penderith just crushes the ball. You can see length. Could be an interesting bet. Also, again, you're going to see some guys that show up. Aaron Rai, I just think of the European Tour, but I think he earned his way. So I think he went European to Corn, worked his way up through here. I don't know what information we have on Aaron. So he did show up at the WGC St. Jude, of course, so that's a WGC event. He's played in a few of those, quite a bit of Corn Ferry. Could be an interesting play. Again, curious to see where ownership. Kiradek Epi Barnrett is one of the greater ball strikers. He's just been terrible with the putter. You see, he had to go do a little bit of work on the Corn Ferry a couple of years ago. I'll pull up him just so you could see if you don't know a lot about Epi Barnrat, the Epi Barnrat. You could see the guy at one time, had some really nice finishes. This is back like, 2018, kind of almost earlier when I, started to really get into fantasy. He was a good play, but it's just always been so streaky with the putter. Um, so the guy that I'm going to go with Adam Schenk. Adam's been just nipping on to get his first win. Of course, we'll go click on Adam and just see what he's been doing here. So good putter across the board. But like I said, if we go click on his best finishes, you're going to see quite a bit of recent ones. So he had the 4th at John Deere. He had a 14th at the Amex. He had the 15th at the Barbasol. Valspar, he had a 18th. So he's been playing some pretty solid golf. He had a 25th at RBC. I like his game for this course. He's also got a little bit of length. You can see approach is where it's been, could be a little lacking, but good putter, does gain on par fives, and not bad off the tee. And then Bramlett, which I mentioned from a betting perspective on the preview show. Of course, he won the Corn Ferry Championship. He's going to get another route at this, and just been playing really good golf. If I go click on him, putter over his career, but that's, again, hard to look at some of these guys because it's pulling up their old PGA information. Had a really good showing at the Barbasol, which is an alternate, course. And I'm shocked that I'm actually getting that data because the Barracuda will not come in. And I'm gonna pull up just so you guys can see who's done pretty well. So let's just go click on Bramlett. So done well in the Corn Ferry. Showed up at the Byron Nelson, which is a pretty easy track. That's just kind of a scoring fest. The Barbasol Corrales has done well at the AT&T Pro-Am. Played the Palmetto, which is a little tougher track, I think. He had a 25th. Again, show up to Safeway. This is a while ago, so this is pre-back injury. Again, at the AT&T Pro-Am. So, again, I like where Bramlett's game. Got a lot of confidence, 7,300. I like him from a betting perspective, and I also like him from a DFS perspective. And I think that's it. I will go over the guys 7,000 and below on who I like, but that is for my top 15 plays. Let's real quick before I leave and forget about it. I just wanted to open this up. You can do this too. Go look at past results on the PGA Tour website for the Barracuda. The Barracuda has got a bit of a similar, right? I mentioned it is Truckee, California. If you've ever seen the course, it's tree line. It's got a bit of elevation. The greens are a bent POA mix. So a lot of reasons why I kind of liked it. It is a par 71, so it's not, missing one par 5, but I think there's a lot of similarities. And also the field at the Barracuda, a lot of these guys that are playing in this field play the Barracuda. Of course, EVR won it just recently, and then went on that tear. Of course, he's not in the field, but went on that tear, of course, through the FedEx playoffs. So good for EVR. I mean, he struggled all year. Andrew Putnam actually is interesting. I put a bet on him. His game has been nothing right, but here's Adam Schenk again. So when I mentioned he's been playing really well, Brandon Hagee just pounds the ball. He showed up at the Honda. Also could be a very interesting play. Salone's played some decent golf. Woodland, right, went over played the Barracuda to see if he could get some points to make it in the FedEx, but did not shake out. Sean O'Hare, another bomber. Vincent Whaley, he pops up on the PGA. There's that Taylor Pendereth, another bomber. HV3, Mad McNeely played in it, had a T18. There's Bramlett, had a T20. Just scrolling through, Ryan Brim crushes the ball off the tee. You got Emilio, had a T27. Kevin Tway, who's a past winner at the Safeway. I don't know. You know what? Let's just go look. I would have to guess he's got to be in the field past winner. Yep, he is. Recent results haven't been that bad. Of course, he won it back in 2019. Could be someone to think about. I'll be curious. Like I said, ownership projection is low right now. And then I'll go look at 2020 for the Barracuda just so you can kind of see Richard Wierenski, Troy Merritt. I was actually looking at, he's played some pretty good golf. This could set up well for him. I mean, he gets that hot putter again. Matthias Schwab is actually one of the guys that is new to the tour or whatever, but is not in this or in the field. Robert Streb, Scott Stalling. There's Mad McNeely again shows up. I'm kind of shocked. I don't think I want to verify, but I don't think Aaron Wise is playing. No, he is not. This would have been a good tournament for him, I think. Grio again shows up. There's my Ryan Moore, T12. Shank again shows up. Bramlett shows up. Hagee. Kind of funny. A lot of these guys, Patty Perez, a lot of the guys that have done well at this kind of tournament. And it is a different scoring format, right? It's that kind of crazy, you can see, points format that you get for birdies and eagles, and you get dinged for bogeys. Anyways, I just wanted to give you that information because it was not going to be pulled up under the tournaments here. So, okay, let's go summarize this for you guys on my picks and my bet. Okay, so to summarize my top 5 plays, what I call my FAB 5, leading off is going to be Webb Simpson. Now, again, Webb's been showing a great game. Remember, he had some back issues. I like where his ball is striking at. The putter can there's still some room to gain. He's not the Webb Simpson putting that he has been. So I think he's done well here in the past. I like Webb. I'm going with it. Hope he does not let me down. Will Z, we've been kind of waiting for him to get his win. Of course, he has his PGA card now, Rookie of the Year. Maybe with that all by him, he'll go out and do what we know he can do. So I'm looking for good things out of Will Z. Of course, Mito Pereira, just an elite ball striker, good putter. I mean, the few tournaments we've seen, the Olympics, everything. He's an elite talent, I think, for this field. I kind of was all over him when his first tournament for the Rocket Mortgage. He was on my cover then. Matt McNeely, California guy, loves to play in California. Has been playing good golf. Does really well on the West Coast as well on POA, so I like him. And Max Homa, same thing. California guy, does really well. Has won tournaments, some big tournaments on the West Coast. And I think he might be out of some people's eye, because he hasn't played that great of golf recently. My next 5, going with Brendan Steele, 2-time championship here. That is a pure history play. His game under recent form is not where it's been, but I like Brendan Steele. Seb Straka, again, did well at the Olympics. Bomber, kind of mixed recent form, but I like Seb here. So I'm going to plug him in. Patty Perez has had good form here. Good ball striker, and the putter's been hot, so I like where Patty's at. Ches Reavie, funny enough, I'll talk about. He's one of my bet picks. I actually bet him twice. So Ches Reavie, I've been waiting for him to he's shown some excellence and then it's kind of dipped. So one of my plotter picks. And then my other plotter pick is Brian Stewart. Again, Central guy. Been playing great golf and the putter's been hot. So hopefully he keeps that going. If he does, he could do really well from a DraftKings perspective. Doug Gim, very rare I picked Doug Gim, but the putter has shown life and he is positive on POA. So I like Doug Gim. Another one of my plotters would be Mr. Moore. Again, everything kind of leaning to that he could do very well here for the DraftKings perspective. And I don't think I went through Hudson Swafford, but we all know he's done great. Been playing really great from a recent form. Has also shown up on the West Coast. So apologize for that. I guess I didn't go down far enough, but I like Hudson Swafford. He's going in as one of my finals. I mentioned Adam Schenk, great recent form, been nipping through. He's done well at the Barracuda, did well at the Barbasol, and showed good form. So I like where Schenk has been. And last but not least, of course, one of the better Korn Ferry Tour players coming out, has past PGA experience. That'd be Joseph Bramlett, and he pounds the ball off the tee. So that is my top 15 plays from a DFS perspective. And on my favorite bets, of course, it's my auto lock. First round leader, Sebastian Munoz. Every time I play Sebastian, we're getting 55-1 odds. The guy likes to come out on fire. He's a great ball striker. If the putts go in for Mr. Munoz, then you're going to see he'll be at the top on the first round. Already missing Ches Reavie. Like I said, funny enough, I accidentally bet him twice. I'm leaving it. You're getting 71 for him to be the outright winner. I'd like to see Ches do it here. And then funny enough, this is kind of, I didn't talk a lot about Nate Lashley, but Nate Lashley probably will be in my kind of sleeper picks. The guy, for whatever reason, when he gets on POA and on the West Coast, he plays really well. Of course, he's got one win on tour. That's at the Rocket Mortgage, which is a bent POA mix. I'm picking him for a top 10 finish, 28-1. I like those odds. Watch out for Nate Lashley, and I'll probably be talking a little bit about him on my Before the Lock show. Okay, that's it. Again, check out PrizePicks. I don't have any picks for you right now, but tomorrow I will be giving you my golf picks. So to try to hit that 10x multiplier again, I'm 2 out of 3. So hope to keep that coming. And I'm 1 for 1 for my NFL pick. So there you go. And if you like what I'm doing, hey, click that like button. And if you don't, hey, if you click the don't like, tell me what you don't like about the show. I'm always looking to improve. Share it with anybody else that you know is getting into fantasy golf or might like the show. And again, to keep me doing this content for you guys, I, of course, have no commercials right now, but my subscribe base is I'm trying to get to that 1,000 number. So if you're checking this out, please hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me. And if I can help you out, if you have any questions from a DFS, one and done if you're just getting into that, or of course, from a betting perspective, hit me up on YouTube comments or follow me on Twitter at DFS Golf Guru. With that said, that's it for the show. And check me out tomorrow where I will have my ownership projections, weather, fades, my value plays, all that kind of stuff. That is in my show tomorrow. And I also will do my prize picks. So thanks, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care.